Greetings and welcome to the Healthy Sales Chick Show. I am Nancy White, your host of this show, and I am so grateful that you have joined us today. This show is all about our healthy mind, body, and spirit. And one of those things that we always should ask ourselves, are we nurturing our minds, our bodies, and our spirits every single day? Because if we don't, one of those areas is going to start letting us know about it. As my dear friend Paula Fellingham of Win-Win Women show, the founder of our show, always says to all of us ladies, we welcome you with open arms and open hearts. We are here to wonderfully share great information that can benefit all of us and also to share with others. I have a question for you. Are your body cells happy and healthy from head to toe? Maybe they just need a little refreshing makeover. Again, we love to talk about our healthy minds, bodies, and spirits. And if we don't take care of those areas, something is going to start letting us know about it. But our discussions here at the Healthy Sales Chick Show is going to include tips, attributes, and suggestions for acquiring and maintaining. Maintaining is always the hard part, isn't it, ladies? To make sure our healthy lifestyles are always evolving. But it always starts in our mind, that amazing computer that we have between our ears. Our topic today is going to be how to win spiritual battles. Oh my goodness. Aren't we always going through those battles? And also, we're going to talk about ways to help me with my thoughts. And also, knowing that it's a never ending and that we're never going to give up. Another question. Do you believe in spiritual warfare? Some people might just think they have bad luck or that life is just that way, or we're dealt a hand of cards or whatever, and that's what we have to live with. Excuse me. Not me. I recognized decades ago about the spiritual warfare, and it kicked up in my life big time, and I recognized it, and I've learned how to battle it. And yes, we're in this battle until the very end. But I noticed also that a lot of times the spiritual warfare would just increase after I had just had a sweet blessing from God, or if there were certain times of the year when we were celebrating God more than just usual, and then we could know that the spiritual warfare was just sort of on a rampage. I would tell people, I'll say, you know what? We as believers in God and whoever you believe in, it's like we have a big old target on us. We're the ones that the enemy wants to continually bombard. He's not messing with anybody in his camp. He's after us because he knows that he does not want to go toe to toe with God. But then we sometimes have attacks. And don't you know that sometimes they just come, people say, well, usually in threes. I'm sitting there going, well, I'm not so sure about the threes, but I do know that sometimes we'll have an attack when we least expect it, and then another one or whatever. And I think that's part of being a human being, that we just don't live in this fairy land of la roses and everything's hunky-dory. No, even when we're going through those times, we can still have peace. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in just a little bit. And sometimes we have attacks with people that we know and we love, or our family members. And ladies, if you're a mother, you know exactly what I mean when something happens to your precious child, or someone or something is not doing right. Then it's just sort of like that wet hen, and we're going, oh, you better back up. So, but again, it's all the enemy's efforts to try to just knock us down, discourage us, and just, have us to step back. Because when we stay in that state of being, we're not really productive or good for anybody, not only ourselves, but much less anybody else in our lives or in our businesses. Sometimes in my life, I can reflect back over, and I remember a time when my father was sick when I was 9 years old, and I couldn't understand it, didn't really comprehend how really serious it was until he died. And death to a child is still a sense of rejection, and we don't understand why. But it was really a time to have to go through with my mother and my 3 brothers. But it was not something that I really ever thought about as being a child of 9 years old. Another time when my oldest brother, who I dearly loved and adored, and we really got along so well together, I was so proud of him. He was in the Navy and he was studying to be a doctor. And unfortunately, he discovered his own leukemia and lived 2 years longer. And again, that was a time that I got kicked back and did not understand and still had those questions. Recently, my son, whom I just is my firstborn, went through an injury. And before he could even get the injury fixed by surgery, he had to have emergency surgery in another part of his body. And it really, I thought, oh my goodness. And he still is undergoing some treatments and some ways to be able to get well and whole and strong again. But you know what? The battle is still on. I know you have experienced some of those times in your life. And when we experience those times, I think we can either make the best that we can out of them, and also there's usually that somebody else that comes along in our lifetime, whether recently or down the road, years down the road, that is going through something similar. And when we've gone through it, we are there to be able to support and encourage and cheer them on, because that is why we are here. We're here to help and encourage and support each other. But I know you all know what I mean when you can just feel that spiritual warfare just cranking up sometimes. So what is a spiritual battle? Some people may not even realize what it is. But just one definition is the fighting against the work of a preternatural evil force. It's based upon the belief that evil spirits or demons that intervene with the human affairs in various ways. And we are mind, body, and spirit. And again, we talked earlier about how we have to nurture all 3 areas all the time. And it's keeping built up. And one of the most important ways to winning, you get to win in spiritual warfare, is the guarding of your mind, that amazing computer. But isn't it true? Our mind starts the thinking of who or what to blame and why is this happening to me? We might get into a pity party or what those things that are coming along. We want to find a reason. But if we let our mind continually evolve and it keeps going down, 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 really, it's like the what ifs or the buts or whatever, instead of the ands. This is what is happening. And is this something I have control over? Yes or no? And if it's yes, and I can't handle it myself, I'm going to ask for guidance or help or other resources. If it's no, I may still need to ask for help or other resources, a counselor or whatever, to help me to be able to bless and release, to let it go. But you know what? We don't want to let this mind run amok, because you know what? One of the best things to do is just to stop. We have to stop. And again, assess the situation, not in a hysterical state of mind, but just, stop and breathe. They used to say, count to 3, count to 5, count to 10, whatever it takes, just for you just to take a break and get an evaluation of the situation. And again, when we want to stand up and fight, we need to fall to our knees in humility. We know that there's only the power of God or your spiritual head is the only way the warfare battle will be won. The enemy wants to go toe to toe with you, and you will have to choose not to let him. The battle belongs to the Lord. There is nothing the enemy fears more than that direct confrontation with the Almighty God. He knows he cannot win. The most important battles that can be won or lost are in our mind. So again, we need to stop and quiet your mind. Sometimes people go, how do I do that? Well, here's a couple of different ways for you to be able to have some good strategies for waging effective spiritual warfare. But again, finding a place too, when you just need to stop and quiet your mind, get away from technology, get away from situations, find a quiet spot and just to be able to stop and let things calm down just for a few minutes. But some great strategies to incorporate into your warfare battles is number one, start daily reading of the Bible. It nourishes our mind and your spirit, just like good food does. Don't you know we become the things that we dwell on, the things we read, the things we watch on TV or screens? What we're putting in is becoming part of this incredible computer and memory bank. So daily, spend time reading the Word, reading the things that you know that are going to nourish your mind. Second, have a daily devotional at the end of the day before going to sleep. Remember, sweet sleep is that time of recovery, refreshing and renewing. And so the very last thing before you close your eyes, have a devotional, a scripture, or something to read, again, to quiet your mind, give you peace, help your heart to become grateful and happy when you're reflecting over the day, the good things that happen, and just be able to sleep and have that quiet, renewing time at night. A third is just during the daytime. Take time, a few minutes, just to meditate on God's work, especially when there is negative thoughts that keep coming in and bombarding this mind. Sometimes you just need to get up, go out, get a breath of fresh air, go get some water, go do something, do some exercises, whatever it is, but just to get away sometimes and just to be able to meditate and be quiet. We are the one in charge of our time. I know it seems like it speeds by, and it does with this, just we don't have any control over it, but we all have the same amount of time and we get to pick and choose what to do with that time. So again, when that negative thoughts or whatever come up, or just even during the daytime, even if you don't have negative thoughts, just meditate on the goodness, on the goodness. The fourth is to pray often, not only at the beginning of the day and the end of the day, but again, throughout the day. When you stop and meditate, or when you stop and pray, especially for somebody else, that is one of the best ways for us to have that renewing of our mind and that renewing of our spirit. So how often does some things come up and challenge your peace? And you know what I mean by challenging your peace. When you can just have that peace in the midst of the storms, when you can have the peace in the midst of those challenges, when the kids are crying and everybody's wanting everything, and you can just stop and have peace. And I know it sounds like it's impossible, and sometimes I agree. When you've got a screaming baby and you don't know what to do to help them, or if you've got children that are just continually on, that's when you can just stop. You can even just tell your children, you know what, we just need to stop and pray for a moment so that we can all have peace. Isn't peace better than frustration and aggravation and the verge of anger all the time? Do you feel like sometimes you're just on that very edge, that verge where you're ready to just break or snap, or you know what? I'm on my last nerve. I can remember saying that sometimes. And then the best prayer I've ever had is help, help, Lord, help. And I'll also say, I really am trying. I really am trying. So again, pray often, pray without ceasing. The fifth is to clothe yourself with humility. Pride has been said to be the armor of darkness. Isn't that interesting? Pride is the armor of darkness. And also humility is the armor of light. So again, we've heard it said, pride goes before a fall. When we can just, put somebody else's best interest ahead of ours, or ladies, being too prideful to ask for help, we need to be able to say, I really need help. I need someone else that has gone through this, or I need someone else just to give me a little bit of a break or support or encouragement. Or I just need somebody to listen, so I can just release some things. You don't have to fix it, but we all need to have that time of humility and then letting that pride go away. The sixth suggestion is to cultivate a quiet mind. Remember, we we're just talking about it in the midst of the storm, but a quiet mind, even during that busy, nonstop world we live in. We always got something coming, something going. And again, but some people have never even experienced that peace of mind. We can experience that peace of mind. It doesn't mean that we continually stay in that state. Remember the battle. And so, but we also can pray and believe for the renewing of our mind. Every single day, I ask for the renewing of my mind so my thoughts can be his thoughts, that he can be able to speak to me. And I want to be in that right relationship with the Lord. After all, when we learn to develop that quiet mind, we can hear that still small voice. Sometimes we're always talking so much, thinking so much, and we need to be able to have that time just to stop and to have the renewing of our mind, to be still and to be able to listen. We know that the warfare and the battle will never end, and it's not going to be over until the very end. So we might as well get used to putting on our armor every single day. Ladies, we put on our makeup, we put on our clothes, we put on everything else. But are you putting on your armor every single day? Do you know that you do have that ability? And I used to remember a dear friend, a pastor's wife. She told me this, and this was 50 years ago, that every single morning, the Lord is sitting in a beautiful garden. He's sitting in his chair, and there's an empty chair. And he's always waiting for me to come and to sit with him. And also, she had also shared that every single day, we get to take out that beautiful white robe of righteousness that we get to put on because of Jesus and because of the Lord. But the battle and the armor that we are talking about right now is we put on the helmet of salvation every single day. I can remember taking my children to school, and in the car, we would talk about, we're going to put on the helmet of salvation, the breastplate of righteousness, the belt of truth, the sword of the Spirit, the shield of faith, and the shoes of the good news of peace. Find a warfare buddy or a girlfriend to support each other. Know that you can have somebody that you can just call, text, or whatever, and just have a secret code or whatever you want to do. And just say, I've got a battle going, and I would really appreciate your support, your prayers, your encouragement, and do the same for them. Remember, where there's two or more, then we're going to have God is always going to be in our midst. And so be prepared. The best thing we can do is to be prepared when the next battle comes. You will know how to fight. Call that commander of all and listen. And then take the steps and the measures to be able to keep your mind renewed every single day. Be that support for others, especially those closest to you. Sometimes over the years, I have found that I have been able or wanting or doing or serving others. And then I have to stop and think, is my family suffering for what I'm doing? Is my family lacking my attention? Is my family lacking that time of understanding and kindness, patience? So those are the things we always want to be available, first and foremost, to our families and our loved ones. And then love without judgment. It's really a challenge, isn't it, sometimes? And give grace and space. When other people are going through those challenges and those battles, don't be judgmental. Be that person that's going to be that support for them. Be there to polish up their armor and to help them along the way or to find the help that they need. I really want to encourage you to be mindful about the spiritual warfare that is going to be continually going on. And we have to nourish that mind, that body, and that spirit. If we don't, then we don't want to be knocked down. We don't want to be discouraged. And if we are, then get back up. Never stop. Never, ever stop. And join us next time to support your healthy mind, body, and spirit. And if you would like, contact me, The Healthy Sales Chick. My website is www.thehealthysaleschick. And set up a time, a 30-minute, it's all about you session, complimentary. I love to encourage you in what you're doing and even offer you some suggestions that may help you wherever you are. And then, we want to make sure that you connect with other women in this amazing community of win-win women. Paula Fillingham has done a fantastic job pulling this community together, and there is a richness of unlimited information and support for you as being a woman, especially when it comes to being a woman in this day and time, whether you're a mother, a daughter, a sister, a wife, whatever it is. We are here to support you. Be blessed, and remember, take care of your temporary temple until you receive your permanent maintenance-free one. And please contact me again. Love, love, love to have some time with you. Again, till the next time, I am so grateful that you have been spending some time with me today, and I will look forward again to seeing you and talking to you.